All right, here we are, module 1.1. We're going to start laying the foundation, setting up your AI-powered GTM system. And naturally, Claude made a presentation for me on why Claude is awesome and why you should be using Claude and not ChatGPT, anything else that you may consider using. And it's just another testament to how awesome cloud is and something that is a little bit outside of our use case. So in this module, I'm going to run you through the foundation, what we're going to set up, why we're going to set it up. Now, this is a bit of theory. I'm not a big fan of theory because you didn't buy this course to watch me theorize about a lot of stuff. You want to build things and actually get things done. I'm here to help you do that, but it is important that you learn a bit of theory about why you should be using Claude and what it's for, what it isn't for. And then later we're going to dive a little bit into the theory of, okay, what are skills, what are the formats, what is an MCP, because to some of you that may sound a little bit intimidating. We're going to go through all of that. Don't worry, it's straightforward. There's not a lot of theory in this, but it is important that we run through some of the theory. So we're going to start laying the foundation. So really quickly, why Claude for GTM? So why use Claude for sales, B2C, B2B sales, go to market? It is one tool that has full context, and you'll learn later why context is such a key term, such a key word when it comes to AI these days. And it really helps you centralize everything into that one tool. I'm a really, really big fan of centralization and just keeping as much of your technology stack consolidated into one single location. And Claude really helps you do that. I'm sure you've been there. I'm still there, almost every day with other stuff that isn't sales related, where you're just jumping between these different tabs, different tools, and just doesn't really work anymore. And Claude is the tool that helps us sales professionals just get rid of that. So the problem is, as I described already, maybe you're already using, ChatGPT for some writing, maybe even Claude just to write. And then you have a different tool for your research, for your enrichment, for your campaigns. There's your CRM, then you're scrolling LinkedIn, then you're just browsing around. But there's a lot of this partial context. There's no communication between the tools, which leads to fragmented output, or you having to do the same job a lot of times where you have to go back into the chat GPT and give it all this context on what it is that you are doing, who you're reaching out to, the campaign you're working on, what have you. And after you go through this course, you implement all these steps. That is a thing of the past, as it should be. So why Claude? There's a pretty clear split these days between, let's say, the directions that Claude and OpenAI, that they're or Anthropic, OpenAI, Claude, ChatGPT, the directions that they're taken. Whereas Claude is really specializing in the B2B use case, and OpenAI is far more of a B2C use case. If you're just quickly looking at the tools and integrations that they're adding, for example, with OpenAI, we're focusing more on, let's say, e-commerce, booking flights, that type of thing. Can you use it for B2B use cases? Absolutely. I've done it. Every now and then I still do it, but I think that's a bit of a lie. Actually, every now and then I still jump in there just to try it. But no, I'm pretty much 100% Claude these days, just because they have the right MCPs, so the right connectors, like the external tools, your HubSpot, Salesforce, XApp, Instantly, Clay these days as well. You name it, it's just right there in Claude, and they really are moving into that B2B direction when it comes to creative stuff like writing, etc. It's just miles ahead of OpenAI. And I still do use OpenAI, but just through the API, because for some of the vibe coding stuff I'm doing is great, getting structured output. I use it in Clay every now and then, but that's a whole different story. Then within Claude, you have projects which are very helpful just to have that let's say that separated knowledge, separated memory. You have skills, which is something that we're going to be using very, very heavily in this course. And then there's the memory where it can just learn your preferences, your tone, etc., from different conversations that you've had with Claude, which is super helpful. So quick comparison. So ChatGPT doesn't have a skill system, does have different helpful tools, but it just doesn't really come close to Claude skills. no MCP connection, you can set up these different tools and what have you within ChatGPT. But the actual MCP connections at the time of recording just aren't there. And within Claude, you do have those things. Projects with persistent context are very, very helpful, and the memory. And then there are tools like dust.tt, for example, that some big companies are using, but they're very expensive. You can get most of them with either 20 or $200 per month Claude subscription, which, if you look at what you're getting back for it, is just a phenomenal ROI that you're getting. And then another really big advantage of keeping everything in one tool is that you're sort of naturally building what I call your sales brain. So what that means is you have everything in one tool. So that gives every agent that we're going to build here, every tool that you're going to build, is going to give it access and context on everything that you're doing. So instead of having to re-explain everything when we bring all of it that you're doing or that you've been working on, bring it to a different tool, a different conversation, you have all of that centralized into that one tool, and there's these different agents and different things that you're doing and different projects that you're working on can just tap into all of that, which is something that's very, very helpful. Then the agent team concept. So we're going to build the solo version of enterprise AI agent fleets. That may sound or may not sound intimidating depending on where you are in this journey, but I promise you it is straightforward. So what enterprise are doing, they're using tools like dust.tt that I mentioned earlier, and they have different agents that can just help you get things done. And we're going to build our own version of that without paying 50K per year for it, which is obviously great. There's something that Clay is doing. So they have AI agents for enablement, research, deal prep. They've 4x productivity for their go-to-market team. That is an official case study that they have. Venta, they have a 3-layer agent system. They're saving 400 hours per week across teams. And that is something that hopefully we can help you do as well. 400 hours, I'm not sure, but hopefully it'll be close to that, I guess. Then one of the key insights that I do want to get across here is that a mistake that a lot of people are making is that they want one tool that does everything. Now, I said Claude is the tool that does everything. Yes. However, within Claude, we're going to have these specialized, let's say, agents or skills that are going to do different things. So instead of expecting Claude out of the box to be your copywriter, researcher, deck creator, call prep assistant, you're going to create specializations the same way as within a company, within a team, you have different specialists. We're going to do the same thing, and we're going to call each specialist depending on what it is that we're looking to do in the exact moment. And that is just very helpful because it just helps. You can just download your skills, your own methodology into a Claude skill where you say, okay, if I am doing research on a competitor or a prospect I want to reach out to, these are the exact things that I look at. Great. You teach that to Claude, and that then becomes your specialized agent. The same for writing, the same for everything. So we're going to download all of that, as well as some of my methodology. We're going to turn those into skills, and those are going to become our agents that are going to help us work, and they're going to be brilliant at that one thing. Whenever we need that one thing, we simply call them and they come to help us out. So this is the agent team that we're going to be building initially. Now, depending on when you're watching this course, it could be that we have more than these 8, because this is a course that will evolve over time as I'm learning new skills, as new opportunities are coming out, because this is a space that evolves very, very rapidly. Then we may be adding new agents here. For now, we're going to have a playbook agent, which is the strategic foundation. So we do want to start with that full context on, okay, what is that you do? What does your company do that you work for? Who do you sell to? What are your unique value propositions, your case studies, etc.? And then we have that, and we can use that to feed all the other agents. So whenever we then say, okay, give me some ideas on who I should be targeting maybe this quarter, like really specific ideas, right? Then it can just tap into, okay, what is that you actually do? What have we been doing in the past? Great. This is who you should be reaching out to. The same as for account intelligence, it will help it prioritize what it should look at, what it shouldn't look at. For everything else, sequence writer, how are you going to write a sequence or an email if you don't know exactly what the company does that you're writing the email for? So we're going to give it all of these agent skills. We're going to give it to Claude. We're going to build these, and these are going to help us do all of these specific tasks. And then the great part about this system is that the agents, they feed into each other. So it's a system, not isolated tools. So as you can see, it's more of a sequence, right? Where you can just you start at the left here where it says playbook agent, and then once you have your playbook, that can help you find targets, write sequences, specific one-by-one emails. Then you've booked a call, great. You do additional research on the prospect, then you get a meeting prep agent to prep you for the meeting, and then post-call, you simply get your transcript from the call, drop it in, and then the post-call agent will help you get your to-dos and your follow-up steps, etc., from that call. And that is just the entire, let's say, meeting intelligence pipeline. So strategy to execution pipeline into meeting intelligence pipeline. That is something that we're going to be building. So the Claude setup is just a one-time setup, really quickly. Just you flip a couple switches, you create a project, you learn a little bit about how it works. That is a one-time setup, and then we start building. So what we're going to be setting up is just workspace basics, then your memory, your context, then how do skills work, how can you install them. So I'm going to give you my skills. So even if you're thinking, I don't have time to build any of this, I just want to get started, you just install the skills that come with this course and you're good to go. And you don't even have to watch any of the videos, and you have the entire system. But I do really want you to learn and make these skills your own, because these are the skills that work for me. These are the skills that I use, but your use case, your business is going to be different than mine. So you may need some tweaking there. I like to think they're decent out of the box, but again, every use case is so extremely different that it would be great if you do go through the videos and you do apply this and you actually build your own skills. In the end, it's completely up to you. I built it in a way that even if you don't do that, you still get value out of this. We're going to talk a little bit about MCPs and connectors, how you can connect to the different tools that you're using. And then we're going to create your project and we're going to actually go through everything. Then these are the core skills that you can install. There are 5 on here. I'm probably going to add the other ones, like all of the 8 to this course, just so that you have them again, just so that you can get started even without watching the videos, and maybe later you jump back in. These are the core skills, and then there are the additional skills for meeting prep, etc. They're handy. They're not as important as these right here, I would argue, but that obviously also depends on where you're struggling the most right now in your day-to-day sales life. Then MCPs to connect. Now I do recommend these right here. That's because I've worked with Instantly, but you may be working with Outreach or SalesLoft or something completely different. That is fine. These are the ones that we're going to be talking a bit about, but we're going to be talking about a lot more as well, and other ones as well. Plus, I'm going to show you exactly how MCPs work, how you can connect them, and even how you can build your own in the bonus modules, which again may sound very intimidating, but it's super easy. So even if your specific MCP is not listed, not available, you don't know what to do, then you can just potentially build yourself just by copy and pasting some text. So that is hopefully helpful as well. And then by the end of this course, you will have at least eight AI agents handling your prospecting, email writing, meeting prep, campaigns, and post-meeting as well. As I said, I'm at 15 minutes now. For me, that is pretty much enough theory, enough talking about what we're going to do. It's time to actually start doing it.